Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Today I wanted to talk about the concept of how who you're becoming now is a stranger to your past. You are no longer defined by your past, and it is important to know that. People tend to create a profile of like who they meet, right? And sometimes the only data they have is of that old version of yourself, right? They no longer talk to you, so they keep on thinking that that's just the way you are, and you can't control people's perspectives on you. In everyone's life, you're going to be the villain. You're going to be the best person they've ever met. You're going to be the worst person they've ever met. You're going to be, just a quiet person. And then another person, they're going to think that you're the most outgoing person known to man. It's just how it works. Like you act differently with different people. And sometimes that gets caught in the crossfire of other people meeting you at bad times in your life, or in a bad set of emotions during that time. You were overwhelmed or whatever it was, but they will just think of you like that. And you should understand the difference between someone thinking that of you and knowing who you truly are. There is only one version of yourself, and you know that version, but no one, not even the closest people to you, will know like exactly who you are. They will get a great idea, but only you yourself will truly know what your capabilities are, what kind of things, like are you limited to, what you're, who you are positively, negatively, whatever, your positives, your negatives, those characteristics of yourself. Because you get to see the whole story. You've been seeing the whole story throughout your whole entire life. No one has been through that whole stage of your life and knows what's going on in that mind of yours all the time. It's just like it gets to a point where I feel like it's important to point out, because it's frustrating to realize that some people will just, point out your past mistakes and make it define you, feel like this is the person they are today, which is just not true. It's, you change over time, you learn from your mistakes, and, people using it as a jokingly manner as well. But sometimes it gets beyond the joke where it's, you don't find it funny. And it's annoying. Let's be honest, it's annoying. But the important part is to realize who you really are. Their memory, their choices of, who they remember you as doesn't define your future. It doesn't define your past either. It doesn't define the present. It doesn't define anything. It will not affect you at all. It doesn't truly affect you unless you let it. Unless you continue to let it and, make it feel like, oh, am I supposed to be better? Am I actually still this person? Your intentions, you're trying to work on yourself, whatever. And you're getting better. And that's the honesty you have to have with yourself. No one should define what you're thinking and what you should do other than yourself. There's nothing wrong with feedback. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm talking about those people that criticize you in a negative manner constantly, and feel like, and even though you think they're not controlling you, sometimes that opinion latches onto you and you feel it negatively. But if you feel like that, then you have to realize that it is your life. It's your life. No one can control you like some sort of, remote control, like an RC car. No one's controlling you. It's only you. You're that little guy in that little brain doing all the switches. You get to decide what to do. You don't owe a certain version to anybody. It's not like you have to owe them a version of yourself that made you feel uncomfortable. You don't have to revert back to any of your past and, try to change that version of yourself. You should just focus on yourself, and whatever makes you feel like in a positive manner, continue to be like that. Criticism is good, but if you realize that it's not good for you and it's not making your life better, or if you realize that it's not like worth it for the long term for you, then you shouldn't be doing it. You should make that decision for yourself and know if it's positive or negative. You don't have to go out of your way to explain how you've gotten better. This is the steps I've taken. I've done this. No, your perception is wrong. I've done this and this and this, and this is what you should think of me. No, it's not right for you to force someone to make them think of you in a certain light either, and it's not right for them to keep misunderstanding you. So there's no point in feeding into that, because it's just not productive, right? It's not if you don't see any positive from it and they don't see any positive from it, what are you doing, right? It's just a argument of facts, and you can't pursue it, because it's just going to be negative for you. that peace in, you know, knowing that you're positive, knowing that you're doing better, is not proven by other people's perceptions of you. It's just proven by how you truly feel about it, how you know that you are being authentic and not just feeding into other people and, you know, trying to like change the perspective of others. It doesn't matter in that context. And it's a sense of freedom, right? Like, you don't, now that you've know your limits, your boundaries, all those things, you are a version of yourself that is no longer choosing to shrink yourself down or change to be uncomfortable, to you know, be okay, be this, you know, this person that they accept, that you you no longer have to like shrink yourself to be in this environment that you're uncomfortable with. And there's freedom in that. There's real freedom and peacefulness in that. And that's the many benefits. It's like you have control now of who you want to be, who you want to be, who you know what you're doing, and you're seeing the steps to be taken from you. And it's good. You should be positive, like you should be proud of yourself. You know, you're not running from your past. You've just outgrown it. You know, you're no longer that person, and you don't have to prove along the way. Like, you don't have to do any of that. And the truth of it is when you move on and you become this different person of yourself, sometimes you just leave people behind. That's the truth. It doesn't mean that they were bad or you were bad either. You just move on and you're a different version. You're on a different path. You're on a different journey, and you're no longer in that past version of yourself. You know, they say like every 7 years, you're a completely different person. That will happen. You know, these people, these friends that you interact with, you know, you don't know that you will be still interacting with these people. And that's fine, because in that moment that you're 7 years later, you'll know why you feel like that. You'll know why you don't no longer talk to each other or whatever. It's just moving on. It's just getting busy, whatever it is. But you'll find people that are with you during your current position, and you'll still have those childhood friends too that, like, you know, will message you and be like, hey, how's everything going? Oh, you know, you're still that cool guy, like, oh, you're doing this, oh, that's great, you know, like, that's still positive from it. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to, that's pretty much it for today's video. I just kind of wanted to reassure that, like, you know, you're not defined by your past. You shouldn't hold on to that version of yourself, and you shouldn't beat yourself up for just being, you know, like negative or, you know, different in your childhood or whatever, teenhood, whatever it is. Even if it was just a year ago, like, you're no longer that person. It's not how it works. Like, you're not defined by your past. You can choose to move on or not. And yeah, I just wanted to point that out in today's video. But much love as always. I hope you enjoyed. I appreciate every comment, like, subscribe, all those things. It makes my day. It makes everything, like, makes me feel positive to keep doing these videos. And I'll see you in the next one.